Hello everyone, welcome to Caroline's Craftery. Today we are doing a little bit of arm's length art. Kim Newberg is doing this over on her Facebook group. I'll leave a link in the description below. But really, all that it is using stuff that's on your desk or at an arm's length reach. So today I am making a what am I going to call them? Lace center tag. I don't know what to really call them. This is my prototype of it. And the back, it is hand stitched. But I thought I'd better do a video to show how I'm making these before I get any further along. So this is what we're doing. I've got them at different stages. I've got them at this stage here, which really is just everything's cut out and inked. Now for the sides of the pages, I just used some of these weird shaped scissors that do different edges. I've got a few of them, so I thought, why not use them? You can rip the edges, cut them with pinking shears, use your ruler, whatever you want. But I've still got a few at this stage. This is the next stage is like this here. I'm just using scraps of paper and chunks of lace that I happen to have lots of. So here is what you need for this. I've got a tag base of some kind. I am using scraps of paper that I had, and I just cut them into a tag shape. A piece of bigger size lace, because you kind of want it to cover part of the tag. And then you need 4 strips, whatever color, whatever width, it doesn't really matter. I just used what I had, either strips, or if they were bigger strips, I just cut them in half. And that's pretty much all that I've done. Now I see that I didn't ink these, so I want to ink this edge. Inking is totally optional. I like to ink. Now this tag here is going to be kind of purples and pinks. You do not have to color coordinate them. Any color, any paper. I'm mostly using cardstock. You do want your base to be fairly strong. Now, what I did, now the first thing I want to do is I want to put down this. But the first one I did, I had trouble knowing where to put the double-sided tape. Now I'm using some double-sided tape. This is whatever that is there. I've had it for ages and it was given to me, so I'm using it. So that's where I had issues. So what I did was I laid down my lace. I just took my pencil and I just drew little lines inside the border of my lace. Now you can see my line here, you can see it here. So now I can lay my tape on top of that. You do not need to use tape. I am using it because it holds down the lace really nice while I'm doing the other steps. So I'm going to put this tape right on top of there. I'm not going to worry about how long the tape is. It's really just to hold it temporarily while I do the other steps. So you could do the same. You could add a little bit of glue. Just set it down and hope for the best. It's all up to you. I found this way was easier. I've done it with a few other projects, and being that I have the tape, why not? Now I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm just going to press that tape down. This tape is like super good. I very rarely use double-sided tape, but for this project I'm using it. Now I'm going to use this little thing. I have no idea. It was in a box of something that I got. Anyways, it's just some kind of little stick with a needle in the end. So any kind of pokey tool or whatever would work. And I'm gonna take off my 4 pieces of tape. And so I've got, I don't know, probably 15 of these on the go or something like that. I really, really do enjoy mask making. I will be hand stitching mine. They don't need to be stitched, but I like the stitching. And I need another stitching project. I usually always have stitching on the go. Okay, now figure out which side of the lace is the right, and I'm just going to lay it on top of that double-sided tape. So really here, there's nothing holding that down, and that is fine. So you get the color showing through. Now I got my 4 pieces, and I'm going to put them down kind of like this. So let's start with this one on this side. Now I'm going to rip part of this off. I do not want it quite that long. And you don't have to really be picky. They can be crooked. It doesn't really matter. So I'm going to put glue on this side. Now there's going to be lots of different ways a person could make these, and whether you want to make them one at a time. Now I'm going to hold this kind of here as reference, and I'm going to put some glue along the edge and just along in between the edge and the lace. Now when I put this down, I want to make sure I cover up my tape so you can't see it, but the edge of the tape is right there. So I want to make sure that I get that tape so we don't get any sticky stuff. And now we're just going to push this down, and I'm going to push down along that edge. I'm not too worried if it really sticks there good. I want a good hole where paper is in contact with paper. Turn this around so I can measure this purple one. Doesn't have to be the same length. Doesn't matter. These, you could use, and like I say, any size of strips. Yeah, really. And I'm going to go in about a 1/2 inch on this piece. I do that on all. And again, I'm going to hold that there. And I do this so then that way I'm just putting glue where this piece is going to touch. And then again, I want to make sure that I cover up the tape. And then I'm going to push this one down and then give it a bit of a push down along there. Now you could use the sewing machine to sew these or anything else. Now I think I'm going to put this one on the bottom. I always tend to put what end I'm going to work on to my right. It's just easy to put the glue down. So now with this, I'm going to glue all the way to the ends, even though I'm actually going to end up cutting that off. But that's okay. And then again, I'm going to go up about a 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to glue down all on the tag. And then I put just a little bit of glue here and a little bit of glue there. And I'm going to tip that up, and again I'm going to make sure I cover my tape and that I've covered the two ends of that. So really we're just framing in the lace, really is what we're doing. And we all have lots of scraps. Most of us have lots of lace. So there's that. Now we'll turn this over and we're going to do this piece. Doing the same thing all the way to the edges. And get those. These are actually, whoop, gotta go up a ½ inch. I don't go more because I don't know how much farther up this we have to go. And I don't want to keep putting glue where it's just going to end up not being needed. Put some glue there and there. And as always, I'm going to cover up my tape, which is, can't quite see it. I think it's right about there. And push that down. And these are going together really quick. The hardest thing was actually cutting their crooked lines. So there is that. Let's put my pin in my glue because we're pretty much done with that. So now we have a tag that's covered with lots on the back. So let's just trim that all off. Normally I'd wait until it dries. I didn't quite go far enough up, so I'm just going to trim that little bit off of there. You can make these any size you want. Mine are vary in size, but they're like 3 to 3.5 inches and probably 5 to 6 inches tall. It's a good size for tags, I think, because they will fit in most journals that I make. So then we got that. So now we have our tag shape. Now you could easily leave it at that, but as I say, I am going to stitch mine. Now, as you can see with this, I went across there and there, down there. So I went around the frame, but I also went around the outside. That gives you a good example of the stitching. And I've got a whole pile of little bits of lace, and I use that as the top just by taking a piece and I fold it in half like so, and then I fold it in half, and that will be my top tag piece. And I like my tags with something on the top. And you can use different kinds of lace. This here, I've also used a brown lace on some of them. So then these will, of course, go like this on here. Or whatever I decide to put them, whichever order. So what I'm doing here is I'm just gluing them all together. Once I do that, then I will cut them all out, and then I can start putting my holes in. Now I usually don't sew on camera because, you know, it's kind of like watching paint dry. I use this from Stampin' Up. I don't know if you have one or if you've ever seen them, but they are a piercing mat. There is, I think, about 5 sets, and this is my most used item for my junk journaling. Any of the stitching I do, I use this because I use the grids on here. So this will go on here. And I'm just going to line this line here with the widest part of that wonky cut. But I want to make sure that all my stitches will be inside that. So here, and then I take my little cork with a needle in it, and I just start at one end, and I'll go right across. Just like this. This is time consuming, yes, and I love it. I would rather a project take longer and have it so I love the project at the end than to be quicker and not be really pleased with it. Hope that makes sense. And I usually always have a stitching project on the go. That way, whenever I have time, or maybe I don't have a lot of time, I have 10 minutes. I'll pick up a stitching project. It'll be on the go already. I'll probably already have started my thread, my needle and stuff. Do it as long as I can. So now you can see my holes in the back. So I will go across here, then I'll go from my whole line up to the other whole line, and then I'll eventually go all the way around. Now when I stitch this, I go in one hole and up the next. So my first round is always spaced, like there's a stitch, an empty spot, a space, etc. So when I start, this is where I started. So I went here, here, I went here, then I came back, and then I went up, down, and then when I got to here, I went this way. When I got up to here, I went there, and then around, so that way it evened up. I ended where I started. It can be a little confusing, but it's really so easy, and I love the effect that it gives a project. And it's not, to me, it's not as invasive stitching as doing it with your machine. I have a sewing machine. I have a good sewing machine, and it's stuck under my table right now because I don't really have a place to have it set up. And I hate taking it in and out just to sew a little bit. I'd just as soon do it by hand. I did this all easily in one evening. And when I was doing this, I had them all cut out. In an evening, I cut all these out. And like I say, there's quite a few of them. It's just, I got quite a few of them. So this was one evening of work, doing my prototype, cutting all these out, and I probably had maybe 2 or 3 at this stage at the end of the evening. So this is, my day 2. Here's one here that I've got done up. I started doing them just one at a time, and I'm like, no, I'm going to mass make these. So I started mass making them. So that's how far I've gotten. I hope you like these. I will show the finished ones after they're stitched in a What's Up video. These might take, probably only going to take me maybe 3-4 days. And I mean, I don't mean like 8-hour days or anything. I like to do this type of stuff in the evening while I'm watching YouTube. but I will only take them to the stitching stage, and then I won't decorate them until I'm ready to use them, probably, because then I can decorate them according to what journal I'm going to put in. This is one of those Tim Holtz people that somebody sent me, and I just stuck them on there, and I thought, well, just a couple flowers and I'm done. But you could decorate them any way you wanted. Tons of possibilities. And as you can see, the difference in the size of these two. Any size. I just love that you can see the color of the main tag underneath. And just beautiful. And once I get this stitched and inked, it won't look quite so white on the back. Of course, some of them, there's a few that are colored on the back. Like this one here is a tea-dyed type design. Because it was scrapbook paper, but I tea-dyed it. And like I say, just using scraps of all different kinds to do them. I like how they turned out. There's a purple one with the brown with a paper underneath. I think it had this paper underneath it, actually. But just a fun way of using up scraps and making something pretty. Hope you like this. I'm happy that you came to join me on YouTube. So remember to hit the subscribe button, like the video, share if you can, visit the links below, and we will see you soon in another video. Bye.